We only saw them in movies. Sometimes we loved them, and sometimes we were afraid of them, but we never knew them. Who do you think I'm talking about? Of course, I mean nuns. Christianity, which is one of the Abrahamic religions, has existed for about 2000 years and has the largest number of followers among religions. Nuns are the most unknown and mysterious women that people are very curious about. Who are nuns? Why are they so withdrawn from the world and live a secret life? Would you like to take a look together at the unusual life of nuns who live in monasteries far from the rest of the world? Before watching this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell button. Support us by liking this video and continue to stay with Secret Box channel. Nuns are women who follow the Christian religion and live in monasteries and cut off their contact with the rest of the world. Nuns enter the monastery at a young age and stay in the monastery for the rest of their lives. What are the principles of becoming a nun? Becoming a nun is not an easy task at all. Candidates must be 18 years old. They must be healthy physically and mentally. Candidates must be virgins and take a vow of virginity. Being single is one of the main rules of becoming a nun. Therefore, anyone who wants to become a nun must think carefully and make a decision. A nun should not be jealous of other nuns. She must obey her superiors without any reason, and after years of approval by the abbess, she becomes a nun by taking a permanent vow during a ceremony. In some Christian sects, nuns are given a certificate of nunhood. According to this document, these nuns made a vow to God and must dedicate themselves to God for the rest of their lives. After this, a hard life full of discipline awaits the nuns. The nuns live in a monastery. The monastery is also a place for Christians who want to dedicate themselves to God, away from everyone. The monastery is built in a place far from the city, and inside the monastery there is a church and other places to live. The use of cosmetics and jewelry is prohibited for nuns. The nuns' clothes are uniform. The nuns' clothes are a symbol of loyalty to God and simplicity of life. Different Christian sects have the same clothes. Only the color of the clothes of each sect is different. These clothes are given during a ceremony to a person who has progressed from the volunteer stage to an apprenticeship and discipleship. Before being given to the nuns, these clothes are blessed by the abbess. Since this dress is a symbol of poverty, it must be simple, and the nuns sew these clothes by hand inside the monastery. What do nuns do during the day? Now we are going to get into an interesting topic. Nuns who intend to separate themselves from the world and become nuns live as a community and sect and must observe a certain order. That is why they must do everything systematically and regularly. First of all nuns must perform certain duties to live their lives. Some nuns work in the fields, grow vegetables and fruits, some cook, some wash dishes, and some are active in church affairs. If a relative of a nun comes to visit, this appointment must be arranged in advance, and the abbess must also give permission for the meeting. Then, in the meeting room, the nuns can see their family from a distance and for a very short time. These visits are also controlled, and the nun and the person being visited must not have physical contact with each other. The nuns do not have cell phones. There is only one telephone in the monastery, which can be used according to a specific schedule and rules. There is no television inside the monastery, which shows all channels like our television. The television in the monastery is only allowed to broadcast religious channels and radios that are in accordance with the rules and program of the sect and community. In the monastery, the nuns gather throughout the day after lunch and dinner in the hall on the ground floor of the monastery to hold a break. The purpose of the break is for the nuns to establish friendly relations with each other. All members of the sect are engaged in prayer and work in silence all day. And this break is like a break for them. After eating, the nuns come to the hall one by one. When they enter the hall through the door, they greet each other and take their seats. The break is an important part of the day when members of the community share their feelings and thoughts with each other and provide spiritual support to each other. The nuns must also do personal meditation and prayer even after going to their rooms. Each nun has her own simple room, and after the prayer for sleep, the monastery falls into silence, and all the nuns go to their rooms and engage in their own meditation and prayer and sleep for a few hours. The nuns can sleep for a maximum of 8 hours. How many times a day do they collectively do an examination of conscience? That is, the nuns confess their faults, weaknesses, and regrets to the other nuns. They may have caused others discomfort with their behavior, their looks, or their actions. The nuns confess in front of the members of the order what is causing them to feel guilty. This also allows the nuns to face their true selves and accept their flaws and mistakes. In other words, it prevents problems between members of the sect. Nuns generally wear their hair down because they cover their hair. Of course, it is not mandatory and depends on the nun herself. Nuns should not have personal property. If someone wants to become a nun, they must first pay off their debts and sell their assets if they have any. When 10 to 50 nuns live in a monastery, there is a possibility of illness and death. Since the nuns live together their entire lives, they must take care of each other during illness. Sometimes in monasteries, especially in the Middle Ages, nuns were allowed to use water only to wash their hands and faces. Of course, this is not always the case. In a few monasteries, nuns were forced to do this because the water was contaminated. There is another group and population of nuns called religious sisters who are different from nuns. Religious sisters work in schools, churches, hospitals, and other areas of public charity. The difference between religious sisters and nuns is that religious sisters do not take permanent vows and do not stay in monasteries forever, but only take the main vow to serve God. Although religious sisters also live within the framework of the rules approved by the church, they are not isolated and participate in community activities. The nuns who are active in community activities on TV are actually all spiritual sisters and work in charity work. The difference between a spiritual sister and a nun in the monastery is exactly what we said. Did I really say good deeds? At the end of the video, I want to make a criticism. All religions in the world recommend helping the poor and needy to some extent, but no religion tries to completely eradicate poverty and misery. Don't religious people try to ease their troubled consciences with these small donations? Thank you very much for staying with us until the end of this video. If you like these sample videos, be sure to like the video and share it with your friends, and be sure to write your comments in the comment section. Thank you.